Welcome to the Expensive Coins History Channel. Think pennies are worthless? Think again. Some Lincoln pennies are so rare, they're worth millions. Moneybag today, we're counting down the top 5 rarest Lincoln pennies that collectors dream of finding. Let's see if you might be sitting on a fortune. The 1970s mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that looks ordinary at first glance, yet hides a history filled with mystery, rarity, and astonishing value. At the center of the story stands Abraham Lincoln, whose portrait has appeared on the U.S. 1-cent coin since 1909. By 1970, the Lincoln cent was already a familiar companion in everyday American life. Millions were minted, exchanged, and spent without a second thought. But not all pennies are created equal, and the ones struck at the San Francisco Mint in 1970 tell a far more dramatic story than most people realize. The S mint mark beneath the date signifies that this coin was produced in San Francisco, a mint that by 1970 was no longer striking regular circulation coins in large quantities. Instead, San Francisco was primarily focused on proof coinage, specially made coins with sharper details, mirrored fields, and superior finishes intended for collectors rather than circulation. However, a small number of regular strike pennies with the S mint mark were also produced, and this is where rarity begins to take shape. What truly elevates the 1970 South Lincoln Center into legendary territory is not just where it was made, but how it was made. In that year, the United States Mint transitioned from older hub designs to newer ones. During this transition, a remarkable error occurred. A small number of 1970s pennies were struck using an older 1909-era hub, resulting in what collectors call the 1970s small date variety. The difference between the small date and the more common large date is subtle yet powerful. The number 9 in the date curves inward, the 7 appears slightly higher, and the word liberty shows weaker detail to the untrained eye. These differences are nearly invisible, but to collectors, they are everything. The 1970 South Small Date Lincoln Center is one of the most famous modern U.S. coin varieties ever discovered. Its rarity is not based on speculation, but on decades of confirmed examples and collector demand. Even more astonishing is the fact that this variety exists in both proof and business strike forms, with the business strike version being exceptionally rare. Finding one in circulation today would be nothing short of miraculous. Most known examples were discovered decades ago, often by sharp-eyed collectors who noticed something just slightly off about the date. Those who recognized it early were rewarded handsomely, and the market has only grown stronger since then. Condition plays a massive role in determining value. A worn 1970 South Lincoln Center, even with the small date variety, can already be worth hundreds of dollars. In higher grades, where the coin shows strong luster, clean surfaces, and minimal contact marks, values can climb into the thousands. For pristine, professionally graded examples, especially those with full original mint red color, auction prices have reached staggering levels, sometimes exceeding tens of thousands of dollars. Proof versions of the 1970s small date are more common than the business strike, but they are still highly desirable. Deep cameo proofs with strong contrast between the frosted design and mirrored background are especially sought after. These can command significant premiums, particularly when preserved in flawless condition. Even the more common 1970s large date proof penny holds value beyond face value. While it may not make headlines, it remains a staple of proof sets and a reminder of an era when U.S. coinage was still struck in traditional copper alloy, before rising metal costs changed everything. The metal composition itself adds another layer of historical importance. The 1970 South Lincoln Center is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc, a formula that would soon disappear. Just 12 years later, in 1982, the mint shifted to copper-plated zinc cents, marking the end of an era. As a result, these coins represent some of the last true copper pennies ever made in the United States. Today, the current value of a 1970 South Lincoln Center depends entirely on the details. A standard proof large date coin may be worth a few dollars. A high-quality proof with deep cameo contrast may fetch considerably more. But the true prize, the 1970s small date business strike, remains one of the most valuable modern pennies in existence. Its worth is not just measured in money, but in prestige, rarity, and the thrill of the hunt. Collectors continue to search through old collections, inherited proof sets, and forgotten coin albums, Hoping to uncover this elusive cent, dealers watch the market closely as demand remains strong and supply remains permanently limited. Every confirmed example adds to the legend, and every new discovery sends waves of excitement through the numismatic community. The 1970s mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as proof that history does not always shout. Sometimes, it whispers from the bottom of a coin jar, waiting for the right person to listen. A single cent, once dismissed as insignificant, now represents the possibility of extraordinary value, the beauty of craftsmanship, and the enduring fascination of American coinage. So the next time you come across an old penny, especially one bearing the small S beneath the date, take a closer look. Because hidden within that tiny circle of copper could be a story worth far more than anyone ever imagined. Like this video and subscribe the Expensive Coins History channel. The 1980 mint mark Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin whose story is as rich and compelling as American history itself. In the vast world of coin collecting, few pieces evoke as much curiosity and debate as the 1980 Denver minted Lincoln penny. At first glance, it might seem like just another small copper disc, 1 cent stamped with the proud visage of Abraham Lincoln. But beneath its unassuming surface lies a tale of minting anomalies, collector frenzy, and remarkable value that has transformed ordinary cents into sought-after treasures. Our story begins in the heart of the United States Mint in Denver, Colorado. The year is 1980, and the United States Mint is producing millions upon millions of Lincoln cents, as it has done since the coin's introduction in 1909. Designed by the renowned Victor David Brenner, the Lincoln cent was revolutionary, the first regular circulation coin to depict a real historical figure. For over 7 decades, this humble penny has remained a symbol of perseverance, equality, and American spirit. But in 1980 something unusual occurred. A very small number of pennies were struck with a D mint mark that was improperly positioned. Rather than exhibiting the crisp, clear D that signifies Denver mint production, these coins display a misplaced or even doubled mint mark, an anomaly. In the world of numismatics, a mint mark error, no matter how subtle, can draw intense interest. As news of these unusual coins spread, collectors began to scour coins in circulation, banks, and estates in search of this elusive variation. Whispers turned into rumors, rumors ignited passion, and passionate collectors began offering premiums to obtain one of these rare 1980 D Lincoln pennies. Overnight, an ordinary cent became the stuff of legend. Now let's explore what makes this coin so compelling. Genuine 1980 D Lincoln pennies in pristine, uncirculated condition with a distinct mint mark anomaly are exceedingly rare. Most coins struck at the Denver Mint that year carry a standard D that sits perfectly on the coin's obverse. But a small number, likely due to a die modification or misplacement during production, boast unusual characteristics that differentiate them from the rest. To the untrained eye, these coins might appear ordinary. But for collectors armed with magnification and a keen numismatic eye, the differences are clear, and the value can be astonishing. So what is the current value of a 1980 D Lincoln penny? That, of course, depends on several factors: condition, rarity, and whether a notable error is present. In circulated condition, most 1980 D pennies are worth only their face value, 1 cent. But for those possessing a truly rare example with a significant mint mark anomaly, the story is entirely different. High-grade specimens in uncirculated condition can command hundreds of dollars, and truly remarkable error coins, especially those verified by professional grading services, can fetch thousands at auction. Imagine holding in your hand a coin that was minted over 40 years ago, passed through countless hands, and survived decades of circulation to emerge as a prized rarity. Imagine the thrill when a collector recognizes its significance and places a substantial bid. These are the moments that elevate coin collecting from hobby to passion. But beyond monetary worth, this penny tells a deeper story, one of craftsmanship, human fallibility, and the serendipity that fuels every collector's dream. It speaks to the meticulous care that goes into minting America's coinage and to the rare occasions when imperfection creates value. History buffs will appreciate the legacy of Abraham Lincoln himself, the man whose portrait graces this coin. A lawyer, a leader, and a visionary, Lincoln guided the United States through its greatest trial, the Civil War. His image on the penny is not just a tribute, but an enduring reminder of human resilience. For collectors, Every 1980 Lincoln penny is not just metal and ink. It is a story, a piece of history, and, for some, a potential treasure. As of today, the market for rare coins continues to thrive. Collectors and investors alike scour coin lots, seek professional grading, and follow auction results with intense interest. The 1980 Lincoln penny, in all its variations, remains a testament to the enduring allure of numismatics. So if you find a handful of pennies in your pocket or change drawer, take a closer look. Among those humble coins could be a rare piece of American history, a 1980 Lincoln penny that whispers of time, of rarity, and yes, of value that far exceeds its humble denomination. If you enjoyed this journey into coin history, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what coin you'd like us to uncover next. The 1969 Mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that appears common at first glance, but holds a deeper significance for collectors who know what to look for. The year 1969 was a powerful moment in American history. It was a time of change, ambition, and national pride. A year that saw humanity step onto the surface of the moon, while the United States Mint continued its own mission of producing the nation's currency. At the Denver Mint, billions of Lincoln cents were struck to meet the growing demand for everyday commerce. Each coin carried the familiar portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the front, a design that had already become a symbol of American endurance and unity. The 1969 penny is composed primarily of copper, giving it its warm reddish tone when freshly struck. On the obverse, Lincoln's profile stands firm and dignified, accompanied by the words, "In God we trust, liberty," and the date 1969. Beneath the date rests the small but important D Mint mark, identifying Denver as its place of origin. On the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial appears in fine architectural detail, a reminder of the president's lasting legacy, at first glance. Most 1969 pennies are worth only face value. Because the Denver Mint produced an enormous quantity that year, the coin is considered common in circulated condition. Many examples show signs of wear from decades of use, their surfaces dulled and details softened by time. These coins typically carry little premium and are often valued only slightly above 1 cent. However, value in coin collecting is not determined by age alone. Condition plays a critical role, and this is where the 1969 penny begins to separate itself. Coins that were preserved from circulation, especially those retaining their original mint red color and sharp details, can be worth significantly more. In higher uncirculated grades, these pennies can command prices that surprise those who assume all old pennies are the same. Beyond condition, rarity within the ordinary is what truly drives interest. Some 1969 pennies exhibit minting anomalies that make them far more desirable to collectors. Small details that most people would never notice can dramatically change a coin's worth. One such example is the absence of the designer's initials on the reverse, a subtle error that occurred during the minting process. While easy to overlook, this missing detail transforms an otherwise common cent into a collectible variety. Other mint errors may include weak strikes, off-center designs, die cracks, or unusual surface characteristics. These imperfections are not damage. They are the result of mistakes during production, and they tell a story of how the coin was made. When authenticated and preserved in high condition, these error coins can sell for many times their face value, sometimes reaching into the hundreds of dollars depending on rarity and demand. It is important to understand that not every 1969 penny is worth a fortune, but everyone carries the potential to be examined, studied, and appreciated. The most valuable examples are those that combine rarity, pristine condition, and verified authenticity. Coins graded by professional services often bring the highest prices, as collectors trust certified evaluations to confirm quality and originality. The fascination with the 1969 Lincoln cent is rooted in the idea that something so small and seemingly insignificant can hold hidden value. It represents a moment in American history, a chapter in the story of U.S. coinage, and a reminder that treasure does not always come in gold or silver. Sometimes, it comes in copper, worn, humble, and waiting to be discovered. So the next time a penny catches your eye, take a closer look. Study the date, the mint mark, the details. What appears to be simple pocket change may be a surviving witness to history, or even a collectible worth far more than its face value. The 1969 Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny stands as proof that even the smallest coin can carry a story worth telling and a value worth discovering. If you enjoyed this journey into coin history, be sure to like, subscribe. The 1960 mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin that many have held, many have spent, but very few have truly understood. At first glance, it looks ordinary. A simple penny. 1 cent, something often overlooked, tossed into drawers, forgotten in jars, or left behind in pockets. But within this humble coin lies a dramatic history, a story of rarity, hidden value, and the potential to be worth far more than anyone could imagine. The year was 1960. America stood on the edge of change. The nation was entering a new decade filled with political tension, cultural transformation, and technological growth. Amid this backdrop, the United States Mint continued its centuries-old mission of producing coins for everyday commerce. At the Denver Mint, millions of Lincoln cents were struck, each bearing the unmistakable D mint mark, a tiny letter with enormous significance. The face of Abraham Lincoln, calm and resolute, stares forward from the obverse of the coin. His image had already appeared on the penny for more than half a century, symbolizing unity, strength, and perseverance. On the reverse, 2 wheat stalks stand tall, framing the words 1 cent, a design that itself would soon become history, as the wheat penny era was nearing its end. For years, the 1960 penny was considered common. Billions of pennies were minted during that time period, and for most people, this coin was nothing more than spare change. But as decades passed, something remarkable happened. Collectors began to notice subtle differences, tiny details that separated ordinary pennies from extraordinary ones. Die varieties emerged. Doubling appeared on letters and numbers. Slight misalignments, unusual strikes, and rare mint characteristics transformed certain 1960 pennies into objects of intense desire. What once sat unnoticed in circulation suddenly became a potential treasure. The hunt began. Collectors searched through rolls from banks. Old collections were dusted off. Pennies were examined under magnification, one by one, with hope in their eyes. Because somewhere out there, hidden among millions, were rare specimens capable of changing a collector's life. And then came the auctions. High-grade examples, especially those preserved in near-perfect condition, stunned the numismatic world. Coins that once bought a piece of candy began selling for hundreds, even thousands of dollars. The value was no longer tied to copper alone, but to rarity, condition, and history. The truth about the 1960 Lincoln penny is this: its worth is not defined by its face value. Its worth is defined by what makes it different. Condition plays a critical role. A heavily worn penny may still be worth only a few cents, but a sharply struck, brilliant mint state example can command significant premiums. And when rare varieties or errors enter the picture, the value can skyrocket. This is what makes the coin so captivating. It represents possibility. The idea that something small and overlooked can hold immense value. That history can be hiding in plain sight. That a single cent can carry the weight of an entire era. Beyond money, the 1960 penny is a tangible connection to the past. It passed through countless hands during a defining moment in American history. It witnessed everyday life, gas stations, grocery stores, school lunches, and corner shops. Every scratch tells a story. Every preserved detail reflects careful handling and time standing still. Today, the 1960 mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny remains one of the most searched and examined coins by collectors worldwide. Not because every one of them is rare, but because some of them are extraordinary. And no one ever knows which penny might be the one, so the next time you see a simple brown coin with a small D beneath the date 1960, pause for a moment. Look closer, because what you may be holding is not just a penny, but a piece of American history, a collector's dream, and possibly a coin worth far more than its weight in copper. Sometimes, the greatest treasures are not gold or silver. Sometimes they are hiding quietly, worth just 1 cent until they are not. If you enjoyed this journey into coin history, be sure to like, subscribe. The 1971 no mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny, a coin many people overlook, yet one that can be worth a surprising amount of money under the right conditions. The year 1971 marked a turning point in American history. The nation was facing economic uncertainty, cultural change, and a shifting financial system. While headlines focused on global events, the United States Mint continued its daily work, striking billions of coins that would circulate through everyday life. Among them was the Lincoln 1-cent penny, carrying the image of one of America's most respected presidents, Abraham Lincoln. The 1971 penny without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. At that time, pennies struck in Philadelphia did not include a mint mark, which is why the space beneath the date appears blank. This detail is extremely important for collectors because it confirms the coin's origin and separates it from Denver or San Francisco issues of the same year. On the front of the coin, Abraham Lincoln's portrait faces to the right, strong yet thoughtful. The phrase "In God We Trust" is boldly displayed above his head. Liberty appears behind him, and the date 1971 stands clearly in front. This design had already become one of the most recognizable images in American currency, symbolizing unity, resilience, and leadership. The reverse side of the coin features the Lincoln Memorial, a design that added depth and symbolism to the penny. Inside the memorial, a tiny seated statue of Lincoln can be seen if examined closely, a remarkable level of detail for such a small coin. This reverse design remained in circulation for decades and is now considered a classic representation of American numismatic art. One of the most important reasons the 1971 Lincoln penny continues to attract attention is its composition. This coin was struck using 95% copper and 5% zinc. These pennies belong to the final generation of traditional copper cents, made before rising metal costs forced the mint to change the formula in later years. Because of this, even worn examples carry intrinsic copper value, which can exceed their face value. Despite being minted in extremely large numbers, not all 1971 no-mint mark pennies are equal in value. Most were heavily circulated and show signs of wear, including dull surfaces, softened details, and discoloration. In average circulated condition, these coins are generally worth only a few cents, often between 2 and 10 cents, depending on copper prices and overall appearance. However, the value increases dramatically when condition improves. Uncirculated examples that retain their original mint luster, sharp details, and clean surfaces are far more desirable. Coins in high mint state condition can sell for several dollars, and professionally graded examples with exceptional quality can reach into the tens of dollars. Where this penny truly becomes exciting is in the world of mint errors and rare varieties. Some 1971 no-mint mark pennies were struck with double dies, causing noticeable doubling in the lettering, date, or Lincoln's features. Strong double die examples are highly sought after and can sell for hundreds or even thousands of dollars depending on clarity and preservation. Off-center strikes are another category that draws collector attention. These coins were not properly aligned during striking, resulting in missing portions of the design while still showing the date. The more dramatic and well-defined the error, the higher the value can climb. Clipped planchet errors, where part of the coin is missing due to a manufacturing mistake, also add significant value. Broad strikes, die cracks, and strike-through errors further increase collectability. When clearly identifiable and original, it is important to understand that not every damaged penny is valuable. True mint errors have specific characteristics, and coins that appear unusual due to wear or post-mint damage do not carry the same worth. Authentication and careful examination are essential when dealing with potentially valuable examples. In today's market, a typical circulated 1971 no-mint mark penny remains modest in value. Uncirculated examples can range from $1 to over $20 depending on quality. High-grade certified coins may exceed $50, while major error coins can range from $50 to several $100s. In rare and exceptional cases, certain error varieties have sold for over $1,000. The 1971 no-mint mark Abraham Lincoln 1-cent penny is more than spare change. It represents a moment in American history, a transition in coin composition, and the hidden potential that exists within everyday objects. Many valuable coins are discovered not in vaults, but in old jars, rolls, and forgotten collections. Before dismissing a penny as worthless, take a closer look. Examine the date, study the details, and look carefully for unusual characteristics. Sometimes the smallest coin can carry the biggest story, and in rare cases, a lot of money. Thank you for joining us on this deep exploration of the top 5 Lincoln 1-cent pennies. If you enjoyed this journey into coin history, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment telling us what coin you'd like us to uncover next. Until next time, keep your eyes sharp and your passion for discovery alive.